But let's start off with something that's a little bit more high level and a little bit more along the lines of meeting the challenges as a freshman representative in Massachusetts. Politics on Beacon Hill is known to be a blood sport. We've seen in the past that members who don't support the power structure can be stripped of committee appointments and left out of the loop on key legislative matters. No names, please. As a freshman representative, how do you plan to be an effective representative for our district while maintaining your own personal ethics?
That's 2 minutes, right, Howard?
And 2 minutes to answer the questions.
Thank you. Actually, I've been preparing for this particular job since I was a kid. Very quickly, as I mentioned earlier, the relationships that I've built in the legal community, in the business community, and in government are crucial to the work that needs to be done by the next state representative. And why I say that is because there needs to be collaboration. There needs to be a sitting at the table and engaging in discussion, in active discussion, and collaborating on ideas. My law partner is probably one of the most effective state representatives in the state right now. It's Michael Costello. He's a state representative from Newburyport. He's also my very good friend. We worked at the district attorney's office together. He's brought millions of dollars to his district. The reason he can do that is because he's an effective advocate for his district. He knows how to advocate. I've advocated for this district for the last 7 years as an assistant district attorney. I'm in private practice now in Salem. I'm a fighter. I've been a fighter since I was a kid. I've overcome obstacles since I was a kid. I know how to have interpersonal skills that I can relate with people. I've spoken with the area reps. I've spoken to John Keenan and Steve Walsh and Bob Fennell, and I've formed relationships over the years that are going to enable me. I've had cases. I've worked on cases with Sal DeMacy. I've worked on the governor's campaign, on Lieutenant Governor Murray's campaign. I've formed relationships that will enable me to be an effective representative, not just a freshman representative.
Thank you, Senator. Mark?
Thank you, Caesar, for that. Again, this is about developing relationships. It's like being in business, it's like being in the courtroom, it's like being in the community. A freshman representative has to go to the State House and has to develop relationships, and quickly develop relationships. I served on the board of 2 different nonprofits with both Steve Walsh and Bob Fennell, and I've talked to both of them about this campaign. Over the years, I've realized that you need to be able to pick your battles, but you need to be ready to fight. I have no problem with either of those two on a daily basis. That's pretty much what my job is now. Again, developing relationships, going in and taking the will of and the wishes of the people in the district and bringing them to the State House and making a voice heard. We need change. I said this in my opening. We need change. But we can't alienate, I can't as a freshman representative alienate myself from the establishment, but I have to insert myself into the group, and I have to insert myself enough so that I can get onto the committees that will facilitate change in this area. A lot of people look at the North Shore in this district in particular and don't think we have any problems, but they don't live here. We have challenges, our children have challenges. We need to have somebody effective, somebody who's not been involved in politics, somebody who is not mandated by any parties or special interest groups to act and vote a certain way. And as an independent, that would be me.
Thank you, Mark. John?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As a junior representative or as a seasoned representative, there are problems at the State House level. I just recently read that last year there were somewhere in the vicinity of 4,500 or 5,000 bills introduced to the legislature, and yet only 45 were signed into law. That it's pretty obvious to me that there are a number of issues at the State House. I think that, yeah, there will be battles. And I think I'm ready for those battles. I can relate to my former work experiences. I've been kicked, I've been punched, spit upon, I've been shot at, I've been taken hostage, and I always went to work the next day. Never stopped. And because of my prior work experience, I now have thick skin. Oh yeah, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to ask for bills to be read, hopefully voted upon, and they're going to be defeated. That happens. It doesn't matter who the person is. I'm not a litigator. I'm a negotiator. I spent 7 years as union president for the Marblehead Police, negotiating contracts with the present town administrator, former selectman Emanu-el, and we fought. And there was yelling, there was screaming. But at the end of every contract, there was a handshake, and a deal was made. The last 2 contracts, as union president, we took big hits in order to get the job done. And we signed 2 good contracts. It's no different on the State House. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anya?
As a first-generation American, as one of the first female agents in the FBI, I know how to fight, and I'm not afraid to fight for you. When I go to the State House, I want to be the voice of all law-abiding citizens and newcomers in our district. I will fight for lower taxes, and I will fight for economic development and prosperity for the district. I know I'm a Republican, and my fellow Republicans on Beacon Hill sometimes have to work a little bit harder, but they get the job done. They get the job done because it's not partisan politics. They try to work together to see what is best for our people. It's all about you. It's all about the district. So when I go to Beacon Hill, I'm a hard worker with a proven record of success, and I will fight for you. I will be your voice. Thank you.
You talk about the grassroots being a proving ground for dealing with politics. In both of those instances that I described to you, both of the nonprofit organizations that I've worked with in the community, there has been a difficult situation, disastrous, some might say, and I have brought the situation to light, gathered people around, educated everybody, got people involved, energized the grassroots, and then just give people the vision, the solution to what their problem is, and have everybody together work for it. In both of those instances, it was about making life better for the people in my community. There are great lessons there. Instead of the constant partisan bickering that we see in politics so much, or even within parties, there's bickering. To get everybody around a table, even metaphorically, and get them talking about working towards a better life for everybody. That's what I'm about. And I would like to take the formula from both of those organizations, and actually one that I applied in my daughter's public school. I created a program that was called Real World Fridays at the village school in Marblehead that brought the community into the schools every Friday. Somebody from the community came in so that they could get together and learn from each other. And that program was actually incorporated into the curriculum. But to get everybody together, working in the same direction, come up with creative solutions that basically keep everybody happy and make life better for us all, that's what I'm about, and that's what I would like to bring to the State House.
Thank you all very much. I'd like to start digging down a little bit here into the local issues. I'm going to pose a hypothetical to you, and let's see what you have for a response. You have 15 minutes. You've been elected, hypothetically. You have 15 minutes with the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate all at the same time. What priorities are you going to tell them are important to your district? What do you want them to know about? What do you want them to fund? What do you want them to support? And just to be clear, all the questions are 2-minute questions. 2-minute responses. We're going to start with Mark this time.
15 minutes with the governor, the speaker of the House, and the Senate President. What I would tell the people that I was meeting with is that in our district we have some issues. We have major issues. We have education issues. We need more state funding for education. Everybody says that. Everybody seems to know that. We have a real problem. Because of the communities that we're in, when Chapter 70, which is the education funding program, was put together about 12 or 13 years ago, maybe even longer, the methods and the formulas that they used to decipher the funding, which would go to different various communities, left us a little bit behind, as we all know. Typically in the country, 43% of the local budget is allocated towards schools. In Massachusetts, the average is 53% of the local budget that goes to schools. In our area, it's generally conceded that it's more like 60 to 70% of our local budget that goes to local education. That's too much. The state needs to provide more funding for this. Some initiatives as far as education go. Special education, in my opinion, should be paid for by the state, so it is on an even playing field that it can be started earlier in the school systems. Right now, a tremendous burden is put on our local school systems to deal with special education and make decisions based on budgets that are difficult decisions that leave children who need help without help for longer than they should be. We need more money we get money to build new schools. We built a new high school in Marblehead, a new high school in Swampscott. We need money and help to maintain those schools and to upgrade the existing schools. That would be my first priority.
Same question to me, Howard.
I recognize it's going to be a little difficult if the third and fourth person to respond. If you need to repeat the question, don't hesitate to ask.
Is the same question to me?
Same question to all 5 candidates.
Okay. Well, much of my good friend Marcus just brought up here is very true, particularly in the area of state aid, Chapter 70 money coming back to cities and towns. He's correct. There is a formula that's used for Chapter 70, and there is disparities in that formula. It appears to me, and to many others, that the formula used for cities is different than that of the suburban areas, like Marblehead and Swampscott. And I couldn't agree more. I found out during my research that there are 22 components that go into that Chapter 70, and it's a very, very confusing formula. If you look at median income, the average price of homes, and the number of students, it is an unfair formula. How to get that message across to state government with the governor and the speaker and the Senate president, that's going to be a very, very difficult task. I'll take it one step further. There are many other issues out there concerning the environment, concerning public safety. All of these issues are very, very important, and you have to take them one at a time. Now, to get to the real issue is what I would do is I would go out and seek those professionals living within our community, because they're here amongst us right now. I would go to them for my ammunition, and I can see that my time is dwindling down, but it's a long, hard road, but I'm willing to walk that road. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Tanya?
Now, I have a tendency of agreeing with Mark and John that we need to get this Chapter 70 gap closed now. And I would say not in 5 years from now, but now. There's certain communities in our district, such as Swampscott, that really need it now. So that's one thing that I would like to discuss with the governor and the Speaker of the House, the President of the House. The other thing I would like to is also push for the state to release a rainy day fund. We could use it as well. And thirdly, it's also about the same thing as well. We need to get more of our tax dollar back. So these are my priorities, I would say.
Great, thank you.
My 15 minutes with the governor and the Speaker of the House and the Senate. I have 3 priorities I would like to bring to their attention. The first one I've heard from all of the previous candidates before me, the Chapter 70 funding. I will commit to maximizing all 3 communities take of Chapter 70, but there's also another chapter, Chapter 90, which is funding for infrastructure. And we have very much the same situation in both formulas, that our local area does not quite get enough or get what it needs. So I will commit to, I would like to talk to them about making sure that our local community gets what it needs. In addition, energy, environment, and public health are a big priority of mine, obviously from what I've spoken already about. But did you know that to fill the average size heating oil tank right now costs over $900? Now, as you can imagine, there are some people in our community who are making difficult choices. Some are saying, well, should we fill up the car or should we fill up the tank? Should we feed everybody? Energy prices through the roof, $100 a barrel for oil is taking its toll on everything we buy. So I think energy needs to be looked at in a very serious way, and I would like to talk to the governor about that. In addition, we have skyrocketing costs that all of our municipal budgets are straining under. Homeowners insurance here is, I don't know if you've looked at your homeowners insurance bill, but I would guarantee that everybody in this room who owns a home, your bill is through the roof. The little guy is just taking a beating, and I think the governor needs to hear from somebody who can speak for the little guy. I hope I have the chance to have those 15 minutes and many more with all of them. Thank you.
Susan?
I want to start by saying that policy issues are actually very, very important issues. They're crucial to this region. But first and foremost, the 2 biggest problems I see right now facing the district are the town budgets and the school budgets. Nuts and bolts, that's what it comes down to. Our schools and our town budgets are underfunded. We need to maximize state aid to the district. I can do that. As I stated earlier, I've built relationships on Beacon Hill. I plan on utilizing the relationships that I've built on Beacon Hill in order to maximize the level of state aid. But I'm going to be more specific. This Thursday, my former boss, Kevin Burke, released a $20 million 5-year bond bill. And that bill is for infrastructure, for public safety. Swaps is trying to build a police station. I know that the Marblehead police have certain needs. That bill is going to be funds that are going to be available quickly, and somebody's going to get a piece of that pie. Why not the 8th Essex district? In order to do that, you need a serious and a vocal advocate in order to get those funds to this part of the district. More importantly, with respect to Chapter 70 money, listen, the formula for Chapter 70 is not going to go away. Inner city kids need more than kids in the suburbs. That's a given. That's going to happen. It's going to stay that way. So they've been fighting about changing the formula for years. That's not going to happen. There are other solutions for that. Swampscott right now is around 14%. There's a 5-year equalization plan for cities and towns. We can't wait 5 years. We're hurting now. We have to increase the money that's coming into these towns, including Marblehead and Swampscott, because the problems, as I've understood them and spoken with people, are not that different. It's education and it's funding. One of the fastest things that we can do, and what I would do, the question was what I would do right away, is file an immediate amendment to special education, to charter schools, to increase the funding to 30%. It's a no-brainer. It's what cities and towns across the Commonwealth would agree to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, it looks like everybody wants to talk about money right away, so let's do that. There are a lot of issues, and asking you to, in 2 minutes, cover what they all are is a little unfair, and I apologize for that, but I'll help you a little bit by bringing up some of the other ones later on. Let's talk a little bit more about money. You both, or all of you, more or less mentioned Chapter 70 formula funding that doesn't work fairly, or at least in many people's minds doesn't work fairly. Prop 2.5 has handcuffed us all. There are unfunded mandates and requirements from the state on the cities and towns that we have to figure out a way to pay for without state money. Tell us what you know about these specific budget problems. You said you haven't already in our district, and more importantly, get real specific if you can about what you plan to do, what you hope to be able to do, and how, as a state representative, to bring relief to the cities and towns in the 8th district. Sorry, I keep forgetting that I'm the moderator. John, you go first. 2 minutes each, please.
Okay. Presently, on the House, at the House floor, there is a bill pending. It's in committee right now. It's 4561. A little history on that. 2003, 2002, 2004, monies were held back from cities and towns across the Commonwealth to $450 million. That money is presently sitting in the rainy day account at the state level. A Republican bill has been filed. As I told you, it is in committee. I believe that the Swampscott share of that money is $610,000. The Marblehead share is $650,000. And the city of Lynn stands to gain somewhere in the vicinity of $8.8 million. The way I see it is that money was withheld from the cities and towns across the Commonwealth for fear of budget problems at state level. Those problems never happened. They were never realized. And the way I see it is that that is our money. It's a short-term solution to the money problem, but it would be very, very helpful to all three communities. If elected, I would support that bill to the fullest. I would make demands of all the other legislatures that sit on the Hill. I would pay them private visits to their offices where I would meet with them independently and privately, and again, negotiate, not litigate, to return that money to the cities and towns. All three communities could use that money today. Thank you.
Yes, I have a tendency to agree with the other speaker. Senator Bruce Tarr, who's a Republican, has been pushing for the release of the rainy day funds, and I would work with him very closely to have that happen. I will also work hard to promote that the state become much more efficient and give more tax dollars back to our communities so we can have a little bit more independence in managing it and applying it to where we need it, specifically to help education and then to help local budgets with municipal problems such as the police force, public health, and whatnot. But I think we need to have a little bit more independence from the state to use our tax dollars. Thank you.
What?
All of our local communities are feeling the pinch of rising costs, and finding a way to balance our budgets with costs going up and revenues capped is the big challenge. Many cities and towns are feeling that pinch. I attended a meeting a few weeks ago put on by Mass Inc., which is a municipal organization, and they referred to this as the municipal meltdown. Just so we don't melt down, I have a few ideas that I'd like to put forth on the revenue and the expense side. On the revenue side, we've all hammered away at Chapter 70 and also Chapter 90. I would also like to make sure that the charter school reimbursement stays in as a line item in the budget. I also would like to see the lottery fund uncapped to release that money to the cities and towns so that we can fund our law enforcement, fund our fire departments, and I have enough experience working with policy and legislation to really hammer away at that. On the spending side, on the cost side, it's an interesting idea here. Our special education budgets are often unpredictable, but what's interesting is in 18 states in the country, health insurance companies cover a lot of the therapeutic treatments that these children need, specifically for autistic children. In Massachusetts, that is not the case. They do not cover many of the treatments. I would like to work to make sure that those treatments are pulled out of the state, out of our municipal budgets and covered by insurance companies. I don't know many insurance companies that are trying hard to turn a profit. So I would like to explore that a little further, but I think it's an interesting idea. Do you know that in Swampscott alone, there's one child that has cost the town already $200,000, and it is our moral imperative to treat these children and care for them. And but it's turning our budgets upside down. In addition, on the topic of energy, there's also many opportunities for saving, which I hope I can get into sometime during this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Yes, I partly agree with some of what Lori just said. And the issue is this. When it comes to SPED funding, which is special education and charter schools, there needs to be a different funding, a separate funding mechanism. And I say separate because there needs to be a level, separate funding mechanism to fund special education and charter schools. Because what's happening is, and everyone in this room understands this, is a natural tension between charter school parents and public school parents. And charter schools are public schools. They were mandated in 1993 after this Education Reform Act. They have to be funded. The problem is they're not funded properly, and they're drawing down from the general public education budget. The same is for special education. There needs to be a separate, distinct level funding mechanism from the state. And as I stated earlier, what I would do with respect to charter schools is increase, right now it's at 17.5% is the amount that the state allocates for charter schools. What I would do is immediately file a bill at the State House to increase that funding to 30%. And cities and towns would be on board because every city would benefit. Boston would be directly on board because they would benefit tremendously. Cities and towns across Massachusetts would be on board with this bill. And what it does is it would free up, it would actually double the amount of money that's allocated by the state to the charter schools and would allow that extra money that's freed up to go to the general education budget, which the schools desperately need. I've seen the numbers in Swampscott, I've seen the numbers in Marblehead, and the problem is the same. We are at roughly 14%. We can't wait for the 5-year equalization plan to kick in. They need help now. We're $1.5 million in the hole in Swampscott. They're cutting another 20 teachers after cutting 39 last year. We cannot afford another hit. We're taking it on the chin every single year, and it creates this tension between administrators and parents and teachers. We can't put up with that anymore. We can do better. We have to do better, and there are solutions out there. We just need to advocate for those solutions for the district.
There's not enough money. It seems to be the problem that everybody comes up with. Local budgets, state budgets. There is $450 million that was supposed to go to cities and towns that didn't. That never should have happened. They used that money to balance the state budget. There's a constitutional mandate that the state budget be balanced every year. It's a difficult situation. Without more money coming in, there's not enough money to pay for everything that needs to be paid for. Governor Patrick just wants a $2.5 billion bond bill to help with the libraries, to help with the schools, to help with the infrastructure. He wants to borrow money in order to basically balance the budget. My personal opinion is that the return of $450 million to the cities and towns, it was a disaster not getting it because we had to make it up. The only way a city and town can make it up is to raise taxes, property taxes. That's what happened. That's how we balance our budget. We face as little things as running out of snow removal money in the town of Marblehead already, and it's the beginning of January. Those are problems, but the state needs to generate more money, and they need to do that through the plans that have been put in place, and this logjam at the State House between the governor and Sal DeMacy over casino gambling needs to be ended. I'm not saying that necessarily casino gambling is the right method, but we need more income to fund the programs. It's been, over the years, just moving money from here to here, and back to here, and back to here. That doesn't work. We need more businesses, we need more jobs, we need more money coming into the state. And that's also part of the state legislature's job.